Hello, this is Petra from Fruition Seeds, and it is July. We are harvesting so many crops, and we have such a short season here. If we're not succession sowing, we are losing out on so much capacity to eat a beautiful, abundant produce throughout the seasons. And so I'm excited to share with you today a few thoughts on what we succession sow, especially in July. So the things that we're harvesting right now that we're taking out of the field are peas, all this garlic is about to disappear, our first successions of carrots and beets, lettuce. We're harvesting huge, beautiful heads of lettuce, and all of a sudden there's empty space in our garden. And it could just sit there all season long, but we can also sow seeds again and have that much more abundance to share. So without further ado, I'm excited to share with you a bunch of seeds that I'm about to sow this week, and you can too. So beans are a great choice. And bush beans, think bush beans if you're sowing in July. Pole beans, long gone. You missed your opportunity. You might as well be sowing. Bush beans, here are a few of my favorites. If you haven't grown the marvelous Romano types before, definitely consider it. They're that much more succulent, that much more rich and nutty. Tavera is my favorite, haricot vert style, the French filet bean. They're so sweet and so tender. And it's not too late to sow edamame for a final succession of edamame as well. And other things that you can sow right now as a succession are cucumbers and zucchini / summer squash. And here are a few of my favorite cucumbers. The Mexican sour gherkin, the mouse melon. Another reason that I love this as a succession crop in July is that it has awesome disease resistance. And especially for this second succession of zucchini, summer squash, cucurbits that are going to get powdery mildew, if you can get disease resistant varieties, you will have that much more abundance. So cucamelons are a great choice. Also Silver Slicer, Space Master 80, which is an awesome choice for container gardens or small gardens because they have 2-foot vines instead of 5-foot vines. But these both have powdery mildew resistance. And if you're looking for a summer squash, check out Success PM is an awesome powdery mildew resistant summer squash. And you can also sow your next successions of beets, carrots, some other root crops. The Shiraz is a wonderful choice. I can't wait to sow this week. And carrots as well. We have, of course, the classic orange carrots, the early Milan Nantes. But if you have a container garden or a small garden, rocky soil, Paris Market is an awesome choice. They're these lovely little heart-shaped carrots that are super sweet and super tender. And herbs are another great thing to succession sow in July. And there's a couple that specifically you only want to direct sow. Dill and cilantro are awesome choices, and if you want to be harvesting them consistently throughout the season, sow them every 2 to 3 weeks. These things really take their time. Where you plant parsley in the spring, you're going to have it all season long. Oregano, you'll have it for years, but dill and cilantro have a very short life cycle, especially in the heat of summer. And so succession sowing them every few weeks is critical for a consistent harvest. Also basil. Even though basil you can technically plant once and then enjoy it all season long, it really wants to bolt in the summer heat, and so we tend to sow a second succession in July. So then we have tons and tons, and especially because herbs in general are much more sweet and flavorful before they flower. And so those are some herbs that we are doing a second succession of. And then finally, greens. Always greens are a great choice. Anytime from early spring, even through mid-September here in Zone 5 in the Finger Lakes of New York, we're sowing greens constantly. And in the summer, you want to be sure that you're choosing heat-tolerant varieties. So here's a few of my favorites. Mesclun mixes are awesome. Our classic deluxe mix is a great choice. It'll germinate in a handful of hours. Really a day or two, but insanely fast. There are tons of different lettuces in the world. Some of them are more cold hardy, some are more heat tolerant, so definitely choose your heat tolerant varieties. Optima is my favorite butter crunch, and that will be sowing this week. And purslane is a weed that you'll find in your garden, but golden purslane is a slightly domesticated variety that's much more upright, has a more sweet, bright lemon flavor. It's amazing and super succulent. So if you haven't experimented with that, by all means. You won't be sad. And people always want to be sowing spinach, and spinach hates growing in the summer. But if you must grow spinach, and I don't blame you, sow Asian spinach. Totally different genus species, but it tastes very similar. I use it in all the same recipes, perfectly substituted for spinach. And the wonderful thing about Asian spinach, it's awesome in the heat. It's also awesome in the cold. So any time of year, Asian spinach is an amazing thing to sow. And yes, you can direct sow all of these things. You can also, if you want to grow even more abundance, transplant all of these things except the dill and cilantro. And when you're actually taking this garlic out and planting a little transplant of lettuce, you'll have that much more time, less time in between your harvests. So of course, don't only direct sow your cilantro, your dill, and your root crops, but everything else you can either direct sow or up the ante and transplant for even more abundance. Happy summer, happy succession sowing. Enjoy every moment.